Hello. So 99% of the cyber breaches today still exploit known vulnerabilities. That means that there are fixes out there, and it means that some of these breaches are preventable. But we're just not doing cyber basics. So I'm not going to stand up here and talk about patching. It's kind of come up a few times. Because patching's boring, right? This is why we don't do it. It's boring and it's hard and no one wants to talk about it. But the truth is we can have a lot of cool technologies that are out there like AI and blockchain and migrations to the cloud. But if we're not doing the basics and not doing our cyber basics, we're going to continue to have these massive breaches. Landscape is different these days, right? If we look back on how it's changing, certainly it's getting a lot harder to defend. IoT is exploding, and there are devices that are joining our network that are really easy and designed to be really easy to connect. I always like to tell a funny story about my time. She was 8, but my 8-year-old daughter opened up a box that someone had shipped me, and it said, "Thanks for enlightening us," for a speaking engagement I did. And she opened up the box, plugged in the light bulb, downloaded an app, and she started playing with it. I was traveling. I was another place in the world, over in Germany. I'm FaceTiming with her, and she said, "Mom, download this app." And from the other side of the world, I was able to connect to my house and change the colors of this light bulb. It's terrifying. That's how easy it is to connect IoT devices. They're designed that way. They're designed to, in mass quantities, connect them to the network as easy as possible. So what that means is our employees, people that are coming into our networks, they're attaching things, and we might not even know about it. So tracking the IoT device is really difficult to protect. So we understand that a lot of our existing systems today don't protect the IoT devices. They also don't necessarily migrate into cloud, so I'm not getting the visibility, and my existing security tools don't give me that control in the cloud. And that also goes into OT environments. So our operational technology is now more and more connecting into our network, right? This allows us a lot of advantages to be proactive. We get to manage and monitor our operational technology, our critical infrastructure, all of these devices from anywhere on the network, but it also introduced risk, right? So now we have to balance that risk and reward. It's getting harder and harder to do just our simple cyber basics because the landscape is changing. Even though they're operating systems, our traditional tools don't really work with them. And what it ultimately does, when you look at operational technology, perfect example, right? We're seeing a lot of attacks come into the OT side. That's a part of our network that's really hard to manage, and our existing tools don't work in that. So what do we end up doing? It's very sensitive. We turn a blind eye. We say, it's not really in scope. I'm really not going to worry about that portion of the network. And then we create these big gaps. So for example, looking at the GAO report that just recently came out about weapon systems. Complete blind spot in vulnerabilities and maintaining those and controlling them, and we were sort of just ignoring them because that's a really hard thing to do. But we're seeing it happen over and over again. It's not unique to DoD. Certainly we've seen ForeScout plays a really big part in DHS's program for CDM, continuous diagnostics and mitigation, on the civilian side. Once we rolled out visibility into those networks, 77% more devices than what they were expecting to see. Which means we're only managing and monitoring a very small section of the network, kind of ignoring this whole other section over here that we can't see. And how do we patch, or how do we manage, how do we monitor? Most importantly, how do we measure risk for a device that we can't see? So, will IT modernization help this? Will it fix it? Definitely not. It is going to help for those devices that we know about, those devices that we can see and we can manage. So certainly upgrading those and managing those, it helps, but we still have this huge gap of unknown devices. How do you upgrade or modernize something that you don't even know exists? So it's not going to be the end-all fix from a security perspective. However, we do believe that there are some programs that will help. So the 2019 NDAA called out Comply to Connect. This is what I'd like to talk a little bit about. Comply to Connect is a perfect marriage between security and compliance, right? You can't just have one. We don't just want to know if a device is friend or foe. Is it allowed on the network? Is it not allowed on the network? I also need to know the posture of that endpoint. Does it meet my compliance levels? Is it everything that I need from a security perspective? And so Comply to Connect brings the two together. It's a program that will identify all devices on the network, check their compliance, and then build in some automation into it to mitigate those risks, right? Bring those endpoints into compliance. We've seen this across several organizations within DoD that have both piloted and then implemented Comply to Connect, and we've seen tremendous results from a CCRI, a cyber readiness inspection, and we've seen those scores go up tremendously for those entities that have complete visibility across their campus networks, their cloud networks, their data centers, IoT and OT. Gives them that more well-rounded security. Actually, I'm forgetting my points here. So kind of in closing, I think that although we do want to invest in some of these innovative, really cool technologies that are out there with artificial intelligence and blockchain and adopting those, I think if we don't get just the cyber basics right, and we don't do the boring stuff up front, we're still going to have these huge gaps in security. Defense in depth is really important for those security engineers as we build out solutions and ecosystems, but it doesn't do anything for us if those walls that we build around our territory, around our networks, some of them are huge cement walls, some are little fences, white fences, and then there's other territories that are just open field. Right? We have to make sure it's a complete circle and that we're protecting all the devices across all of the networks and not just focusing on the low-hanging fruit, which are those desktops or those laptops that we think are bringing in the biggest vulnerabilities. So, thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you so much.